Chapter 25. Electra knocked on the door. It was left ajar. There was no answer. Augustine walked through the front door, Electra behind. As they entered the living room, they could see Daniel Godfrey sat in a chair. Tears were streaming down his face. In his mouth was a gun. He tried to speak, but nothing intelligible came out. Joyce didn't flinch. "Joyce, why don't we talk about this?" Electra asked. Joyce's right leg twitched. She had been stood there for some time, making her mind up what to do next. It was clear that she had the upper hand over Dan Godfrey, but the rest of the world, she had no idea what was waiting for her outside that front door. "What is there to talk about?" Joyce asked, the lack of nerves in her voice disguising the way she really felt. "Don't kill anyone. Once you murder more than one person, the sentence doesn't just double. You'll be looking at life." "What? You think I've killed someone? I'm here doing your job for you. I've caught a killer. Dan has just confessed to me. Haven't you, Dan?" Dan shook his head. "Haven't you, Dan?" Joyce asked again, squeezing the trigger just a little for effect. Dan assented. "Let him speak," Electra instructed. Joyce ignored it. "Get your cuffs and get this man arrested before he commits another crime. Go on, read his rights. Daniel Godfrey, I'm arresting you, etc., etc." Dan's tears were flowing down his face now. Electra was sure that he would be sobbing if he could catch enough breath to make a sound. She approached Joyce from behind, but this made her twitchy. The trigger was squeezed a little harder. Dan cried some more. "Joyce, can you indulge us in a little conversation for a minute or so?" Augustine asked. "Why would I talk to you? Can't keep your coffee on your hand. Can't keep your eyes to yourself," Joyce replied. "What?" Electra mouthed to Augustine. He was awful at lip reading, but could manage that. "Tell you later," he whispered. "Joyce, who would stand to keep all of the money if something happened to Mark McManus and Dan here?" Joyce ignored his question. "Joyce," Augustine promoted. She threw the gun to the sofa. "I can con a stupid prick like Dan with a fake gun, but you guys aren't so fooled." "How did you know we knew?" Augustine asked. "If you really thought I was about to blow his brains out, you were pretty calm about it." "There's a few obvious signs, but back to the question." "The money would stay in the limited company," Daniel Godfrey responded, his voice trembling with the emotional release of knowing he wouldn't be killed. "And who is the next largest shareholder in the limited company, Dan?" "Well, that's always been a bit of a mystery. It was arranged through an intermediary. The shareholder has always remained anonymous. They're hidden behind a shell company in the Caribbean somewhere." "Anonymous no more. The company is called JYC Macrossite. Did you ever wonder what that meant?" Augustine asked. "Not really. I just thought it was an internet thing." "Not quite. It's an anagram of Joyce McCarty. She would stand to gain control of all that money and all the new development. Now, it's time for you to come quietly," Augustine said. He knew that none of them came quietly, but he could always hope. Joyce picked up the gun and smashed Dan Godfrey over the head with it before leaving via the patio doors. She ran towards the back fence in an attempt to escape. Augustine and Electra were on her before she reached the top. Grabbing a leg each, they hauled her back to the ground. They took her under an arm each and dragged Joyce back to the house via the kitchen door. In the kitchen, Dan was getting to his feet. He looked at the three of them and couldn't decide where his loyalties lay. He looked at each of them in turn. Joyce spotted it first. Dan looked at the knife on the draining board and then back at the three other people present in the room. "Go on, Dan, give it to them. You take the guy and I'll take the girl," Joyce egged him on. "We can do this together. Together, Dan. You and me. The two of us against the world for the rest of our lives. We can do anything with that money, with the freedom it brings. I've already got a route plotted. Venezuela has no extradition treaty with the UK. We'll be safe there. I've got a ticket. We can get you one. We can get you one. Dan picked up the knife. He passed it from hand to hand like he knew what he was doing. It was something he'd seen in a movie, and it looked like the man was menacing. Dan assumed that the two detectives in front of him felt menaced. That's it, Dan. You and me. You and me. You and me. Dan looked at Joyce. He dropped the knife on the floor. He'd had enough of being lied to by her. It was all over. Marked by Murder. Written by S. Thomas Thompson. Narrated by Christian Neal.